comprehend more about God. They shall see God. And the peacemakers are blessed. They shall be called God's children. Let's try the 10 and 11.
Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when men revile you, and persecute you, and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account.
Be sure of that word, falsely. There's no blessing here for those who bring trouble on themselves because they're unwise in the way that they promote the work of the gospel. It's on those now who are persecuted even though they live righteously, and that the accusation must be false. Then he says, your reward is great in heaven. He also compares Christians to the salt of the earth. Verse 13.
You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how can its saltness be restored? It is no longer good for anything, except to be thrown out and trodden underfoot by men.
The salt of that day, like in many parts of the world even now, was made by evaporating ocean water, or like the waters of the Dead Sea. And as a result, you not only had the NaCl, the normal salt that we use for table salt, but you had other types of minerals dissolved in the water. And because the NaCl, our table salt, washes out and dissolves more readily than some other salts, you could have the salty taste taken out of salt and yet have a residue. And Jesus said, if the salt has lost the NaCl, the saltiness, what's it good for? Well, you can go out and make a gravel walk out of it. And he says if Christians have lost that essential ingredient of saltiness, so that they've lost their Christian taste, that the enemies of the world will just cast them out and walk on them.
Now we trust that you've taken your notes and you're now ready to take our TV Bible exam, which is coming right up. Question number 1. How did Jesus know that the religious leaders did not have the love of God in them? You have not the love of God in you. I am come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can ye believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from God only? Man was made to keep the Sabbath day rest. And Jesus said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Do what I see. The Son can do nothing of his own accord, but only what he sees the Father doing. What was the first sign of the gospel gospel foretold by Isaiah the prophet and fulfilled by Jesus. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. At first, Jesus was graciously received in the synagogue at Nazareth. Then they tried to kill him. Why? Because Jesus, the hometown boy, put himself in a class with Elijah and Elisha as a prophet. Blessed are the meek, for they shall Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. And now our professor, Dr. Ward Williams.
He also said something about the light of the world, verse 14.
You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hid.
In other words, he very clearly intends for Christians to be visible. Try verse 15 and 16.
Nor do men light a lamp and put it under a bushel, but on a stand. It gives light to all in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven.
From time to time, we hear the word secret Christian. No comfort for that idea here. The Christian is to be visibly a Christian. He's to be known to be a Christian. And his Christianity is to shine in such a way that he actually becomes a guiding light to those around him, not to bring glory to himself, but to God the Father. The relationship of the Old and New Testaments has always been a problem to some people. Read verses 17 and 18.
Think not that I have come to abolish the law and the prophets. I have come not to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, not an iota, not a dot will pass from the law until all is accomplished.
The King James says jot or tittle. Both of these are little marks made in writing Hebrew, and they're like the crossing of our T. It's like the dotting of an I. And he's saying now that the law must be fulfilled. What we learn later in the New Testament from Paul and others is that Jesus did fulfill the law in himself. He himself is the only man who ever fully kept the law. He kept that for us so that he could be the perfect sacrifice before God. But the law is in force until Jesus has fulfilled it. He goes on to say that if we relax these commandments and teach others not to be careful about them, we'll be least in the kingdom. If we teach people to obey them, we shall be great in the kingdom. And then he goes on in verse 20 to compare real righteousness and legalistic righteousness.